no one is excited for the NBA season. The ratings are telling us that. And OutKick has been telling you that for the last several years. Now everyone is on board because the numbers speak for themselves. Down 21% on ESPN year to year, and the product down 11% on TNT year to year in their final year of their contract. Overall, the NBA ratings, the audience is down 48% since 2012. That is mind-boggling. For a sport that has owned Christmas Day, for instance, that was the unofficial tip-off to the season, at least, Chad, I think you agree. For me, it was, even growing up, watching NBA basketball on television while hanging out with family. It was on in the background. No longer. The NFL owns that day now. And practically any other thing owns the television or your streaming service compared to the product that is going down the drain. Why? Well, there's no bigger advocate for the NBA than Magic Johnson. And he has his theory.
What's happened to the rivalries in today's game? Like, I mean,
they don't hate each other.
That's
they don't like. See, I hated Larry and every Celtic. I really don't like you, but you're my little brother. Now I love you because you're out of that green and white.
Right.
Well, he out of that green and white. Right.
Yeah.
But
somewhat.
That's what it was, right? You. The Celtics, Lakers hate each other, disliked each other. So it made for great TV and people tuning in. And now with, I don't know if it's AAU, I don't know what it is. Now everybody's shaking each other's hand. Everybody like each other, won't go at each other like really hard. Even that's what happened to the All-Star game, see?
Yeah.
See, the All-Star
carried into the All-Star game. Right there.
See, we hated the East.
Right.
I'm coming to bust you.
Right.
Michael, Isaiah, Dr. J. You can't have one over me. See, I'm coming to get that. Now,
see, Magic, this is what I
let
said.
them score 200 to 200. What is that?
This is what I say. In your area, that's how, when I played, we was forced to play because Cole was going to force you to play.
That's right.
Like, you don't come out here lollygagging because he coming hard. It got to come from the top.
Yep.
It got to come from LeBron saying, hey, we going to take this serious. From KD saying, hey. From Steph saying, hey. That's where it's got to come from.
Well, I knew Larry Bird was coming for me.
Right.
You see?
That's it.
And if we line it up now.
Right.
He put on that green, I put on that purple.
Yeah, he ain't playing. You ain't playing.
Come on, man.
Right.
And that's what it's got to get back to that.
Yeah.
And it's a reason why the number of viewerships are going down. And these guys better wake up and say, hey, man, we got to change this. And also, load management. The guys got to play.
They got to play. They got to play. We took pride in playing.
Yes.
82 games. Like, I wanted to.
Yes.
Toe hurting, knee, ear, finger. Like, I still want to be. I'm out there.
There's Magic Johnson on Speak earlier. So, Chad, I buy some of what he's saying. Players don't hate each other anymore. That's true, but that's also true for the NFL. That's true for Major League Baseball. It's across the board. Where the NBA is different, the NBA has alienated themselves. Players are off on an island by themselves instead of embracing the fan bases. Like, I don't see that same type of vibe in the association like I see in the National Football League. You can see it through endorsements. You can see it through how players respond to criticism. Or, hey, you don't like me, so I don't like you. That's really the only thing they hate. They hate if they're not loved. And overall, look, LeBron and Steph are aging. They take way too many threes. It's not a great product to watch. And they have a lot of woke issues that they stand on a mountaintop about that they really don't know much more than page 2 of the book that's in their hand. That's the problem with the NBA.
And which NBA team would we even say is like, this team is one with their community? That is Boston's team. That is New York's team. That is San Antonio's team, those are some of the ones that I would put at the top of the list.
Memphis used to be that way with Grind City.
Memphis was that way, and it's their one, major sport in town. Portland, I would say, is kind of that way because it's their one major sport. But I still don't feel like the guys on the team are just intrinsically involved in the community and a big part of the fan base. And they all feel like they're in it together. I don't see that at all with the NBA, to your point, Hutton. And years ago, we would have seen a little bit more of that. I also think this is going to sound crazy, but I think it's a huge disservice to the modern NBA that the only people I want to watch talk about the NBA are from an era I loved. Mm-hmm. Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Shaq, Magic Johnson. When he does an interview, I'm paying attention. I don't care about Kendrick Perkins and what he has to say, but when those older guys talk, I listen. And when they talk, it doesn't make me want to tune in on Christmas Day to watch the Timberwolves and the Mavs as I'm looking at the Christmas Day lineup right now. It makes me want to go back and watch old footage of those guys playing the game. When I hear Magic Johnson saying that right there, I would rather watch HBO's Winning Time, the dramatic version of the Lakers-Celtics rivalry, than anything the NBA has to offer right now. That's a problem for the league. When I watch Winning Time, I loved it. That should make me want to go and tune into a current Lakers-Celtics game. That should make me want to get back and reinvest some energy into the NBA. All it made me want to do is go watch YouTube videos of Lakers-Celtics final series from the 80s. That's all it did. When I hear Charles Barkley talk, it makes me want to go watch Charles Barkley footage from the 80s and 90s. Doesn't make me want to do anything else. That's a problem for the league. The nostalgia piece is real. Nostalgia helps other sports. Nostalgia plays help college football. It helps the NFL in a lot of ways when you look at two logos going head-to-head. I think it hurts the NBA because I think comparison is the thief of joy. And when you compare this NBA to the NBA I grew up with, there's no joy in today's NBA. There's no pleasure in watching that product at all. And that's a huge problem for it. When Magic Johnson's sitting there talking about if Larry walked in here right now and that green and me in the purple, it would be on. He'd bring out the best of me. And I'm sitting there thinking, Larry Bird has no back left. He's got so many injuries. He's an old man. And I'd still rather watch that one-on-one matchup than watching, let's see here, the Nuggets and the Suns at 10:30 Eastern time on Christmas night on ABC. I think it's a problem for the league. Yeah. That we thirst for that more than anything happening right now.
Well, I want to know some background on players. You don't know. You mentioned the Nuggets and Mavs and Timberwolves. I mean, you know the teams, but you don't know the players. And if you do, it's mainly because we're telling them the DBAP. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. And in the NFL, while they certainly have their issues as well, they're swapping jerseys at the 50-yard line after a game. They're hugs and laughs and everything going on after a loss. At the end of it, there's still some background of some of the players that are on your favorite team or the team that's on in prime time. There is no prime time NBA. It was just another game. And that's what they have to figure out, especially after the mega deal that they just had with Disney and ESPN and all the money that's being poured into them. Numbers are down. There's chances to advertise, but who are you advertising to with the live product? I mean, it's the NFL and college football, and then there's everyone else. I mean, college basketball is down double digits year to year. So is the NHL. But the NBA has been down, and they've been ignoring it because you mentioned the talking heads. They've been ignoring it. They've been pushing the fact that, it's this or it's that. No, it's the product. And ultimately, if the product were just better, you could watch a game and create those rivalries. You could tune in because you hate a player so much. But the product sucks. Yeah. It's not fun to watch.
It's also, to me, I've always said this about basketball in general, but the NBA also. It's the most personal of team sports. There's no mask. There's no hat. There's no helmet on. We see every response, facial expression. We see trash being talked very clearly. Yeah. People are courtside. I mean, you could put a foot out and trip a player in an NBA game. It's personal, but somehow the sport that is the most personal, where we should know the most about the players, we should remember that moment where they got face-to-face with a rival. We should remember that reaction on that dunk over someone. We should remember the Scottie Pippens of the world, right, dunking on Patrick Ewing and walking crotch first over him and then getting hit in the balls on the way past him. Those type of things that we remember about basketball back in the day. Somehow today's NBA is so lifeless, it has taken the most personal of team sports and made it the most impersonal. And that's a shame. Because football is not, while it's awesome and there's big hits and all of this, you're behind a mask, you're a lot further away from the action. There's 22 men on the field at once. Basketball, man, is mano a mano. It's 5-on-5. If you're on the court, you're supposed to be good. You are contributing big time to the game at all times if you're one of the 5 players on the court for your team. And of those 5, there's 1 star and there's maybe 2 role players. And your eyes are on those players at all times. They're dominating the basketball. I want to know about those guys. I want to care about those guys. I don't care about any of these guys.
No, and
the league has done a terrible job of getting us to care about those guys.
Think about what they've done.
And the product has done a terrible job of getting us to care.
Think about what they've done to the All-Star weekend. I mean, it's pathetic.
It's been bastardized.
Think about the NBA draft. Their past NBA draft was dominated by a discussion of the 55th overall pick who didn't qualify to be drafted, but he did because his dad got him drafted. Like that's where the league is, and there are bright courts and in-season tournaments that no one can describe. How it works.
Yeah,
it's just bad.
Top 7 picks in the NBA draft, Hutton, to speak to your problem with this, and mine too.
Yeah.
France, Kentucky, UConn, G League Ignite, France. Those are your top picks.
I mean,
Frenchmen dominated the first round.
I mean, I think the most recent draft pick that everyone knows is Wembanyama. Like the dominant.
And I've even forgotten about him.
I mean,
is he healthy?
Again,
I don't even know.
Yeah, he's healthy.
Are we going to watch him when, let's see, he tips it off at 11 a.m. Central against the Knicks on ABC on Christmas Day?
No, because we're going to be watching the NFL. The NFL took over their unofficial tip-off day.
Well, thank God, because if you've got some Christmas festivities in the morning and nothing else, and you want to watch live sports, there was a time where I'd watch some of these NBA games and care about watching a little bit of it. I do not give a damn about any of these games or any of these teams right now.
And now everyone's discussing that they agree with what we've been saying.
Now, I don't want this to be all negative about the NBA. I will say it doesn't take a lot to win people back.
No.
If you just give them a compelling product and a couple of stars that people really care about that play the right way, and we know what the right way is. LeBron James knows what the right way is to play the game. Sure. Play the right way, play hard all the time, don't use load management as a crutch, want to get out there and play in 82 games even when you're banged up, give it your damned all in the playoffs, go on a run, let people get behind your style, whatever that style is. It doesn't have to be a team that shoots threes 90% of the time. It could be a throwback to the Bad Boys Pistons that could become a villain that people care about. Get people to care. People want to care. I truly believe that about major pro sports. If you give them an excuse and a reason to care, they will change their minds about something. So I'm not also one to believe that all is lost for the NBA. It's going to take something to get me back on board, and I think a lot of people feel the same way.
So the Celtics lead the league in three-point attempts per game at 51. Knicks, no, this is not in order. Warriors, 41 attempts. Knicks with 36. Pistons, Lakers, and Kings all in the mid to high 30s. The Bulls average 44 attempts per. I mean, all of them. I mean, there's a lot of threes per game. And, a lot of misses.
Yeah.
A lot of sloppy play. You saw something prior to the show about Magic Johnson has been discussing this for a while.
Well, how I actually initially saw this clip was Ryan Glassbeagle, someone I follow who covers sports, really good writer. He reposted the video from Awful Announcing, but this caught my eye. He said that Magic's actually been saying this for over 30 years. I watched a 1993 Suns-Bulls finals game relatively recently, and he was railing on MJ and Barkley for fraternizing during that game because MJ dominated the narrative since became that he Jedi mind tricked Barkley by playing buddy-buddy with him in that series. And that was the year Barkley won MVP. So this is not something new with him. And oh, by the way, if Jordan was playing buddy-buddy with Charles Barkley, he was just playing because he wasn't. Because he was out to kill his friend in that series.
We need more of Draymond.
And he did.
We need more of Draymond Green, stepping over people and, giving people a nut shot. Cup check.
I'm the first one to say you should depoliticize sports, and I think the masses will be drawn more to that if they feel like an agenda is not being pushed on them.
Right.
And the NBA is the worst at pushing leftist agendas on everyone. And the common sports fan certainly has been turned off by that for years. So this is contradicting what I would normally say about not politicizing something. I think it would help the NBA if there was some huge Trump supporter who was a big-time star in the league.
Yeah, instead of their star, LeBron, saying that he needs to protect his daughter because of the election.
I think it would serve as an enemy to a lot of fans that are currently in the league, and it would draw in new fans. I mean, say what you want about Caitlin Clark, but she was politicized, whether she wanted to be or not, with people that were watching Caitlin Clark WNBA games.
Sure.
And nothing else.
Then she liked a post by Taylor Swift.
And I'm not saying this person has to be white or black or anything. I'm just saying if there was some huge mega star of the WNBA or the NBA that was a pronounced right-wing, Donald Trump loving, the Antonio Brown minus the Twitter account type player in the league, I think that would help the league. Because it would give someone to say, oh, well, look, not everybody in the league is just, thumping their Kamala Harris Bibles in front of everybody's face about how you're evil if you don't vote for Democrats.
They would be kicked out or ostracized immediately within their own little bubble.
That's
their problem.
Even if it was a coach with a huge personality. That's why it doesn't happen, is because they fear they'd get blackballed from the league if they did that. And I'm not saying there's not a single NBA player who's not a big, Donald Trump supporter. There are. They're just not talking about it.
Yep. Here's even LeBron talking about NBA ratings in Sacramento.
We got to do something. Obviously, the last couple of years have not been a great All-Star game that Sunday night. But I mean, listen, it's a bigger conversation. It's not just the All-Star game. It's our game in general. Our game is a lot of threes being shot. So it's a bigger conversation, just the All-Star game.
What do you want to?
I can't do that today. Not in Sacramento. Sacramento, I love you guys, but you can't give you this conversation today. It's just a bigger conversation.
And it's bigger than one player. I mean, it's the style of the league.
Yeah.
One pass shot. You sandbag on the rundown. It's just not fun to watch. And with so many people now saying, there's an issue with ratings. I mean, J.J. Redick, who used to be on the broadcast, now he's the head coach for LeBron and the Lakers. He's saying, hey, stop talking about the ratings. This game should be celebrated. Here's his quote to The Athletic. I don't think we have done a good job of storytelling, of celebrating the game. If I'm a casual fan and you tell me every time I turn on the television that the product sucks, well, I'm not going to watch the product. And that's really what has happened over the last 10 to 15 years. I don't know why. It's not funny to me. This game should be celebrated. The league is more talented and skilled than it was 18 years ago when I was drafted. That's a fact. There are more players that are excellent. There are more teams that are excellent. It goes on. We don't have anybody that is willing to step up to the fact that this is an awesome game and we should talk about it and celebrate it in a positive way. That doesn't mean we don't critique it. We should critique it, but we should celebrate it. Nobody's doing that, and the people that have a small niche of following on Twitter, and frankly, I would argue as well that everyone in our ecosystem pays too much attention to what is said on Twitter. And part of this whole ratings discussion is because people on Twitter are talking about it. Now it's just people on Twitter. And
people on Twitter talking about the bad ratings is forcing future bad ratings for the NBA. I mean, give me a break.
Right.
What he's saying could absolutely be true. There are more skilled, talented players in the world playing basketball right now. I think that is true. Doesn't make for a better product, doesn't make for a better style of play.
No.
Both those things could be true at the same time. Players could be more skilled, and talented, but the game they're playing is not appeasing to the eye, and dudes are dogging it. This is a fact. They're either sitting out games or they're not giving it maximum effort or anything close to it a lot of the time when you're watching the game. And if you got 2 players out of 5 that are half-assing it, it shows on the television product. You're going to see it. It's going to stand out. And also, JJ, you were in the media, dude. I get that you worship basketball in the NBA and that you only probably said positive things about the game for that reason. It's not the media's job to celebrate something. It's their job to talk honestly about it. So I applaud anyone on an NBA game that's talking about how bad the product sucks.
Finally.
I mean, that's way more honesty than I would expect from NBA media. So bravo if you've been doing that. Good job. Way to be honest.
And this is exactly.
And call it like it is. It's not a media. For JJ Redd to come out and say, you should be celebrating this league and celebrating these players.
That's what everyone was doing up until, recent ratings numbers, like just facts, data, have again told us that no one is wanting to tune in, they're tuning out. And that quote is exactly my point about the average NBA player loves love. They just want to be loved. If you don't love them, they don't want you. They don't get out. You can't be a part of our cool club. And it's, it's now the club that nobody's wanting to tune in for. Like I even
who's the tough guy of the NBA right now?
Who would you
even point to and say
it was Draymond?
Yeah,
but even we were railing against all the technicals he was getting.
But Draymond also was like,
but they need
cheap
that
shot artist.
They need more of that,
line
though.
with it.
They kind of need the guy that's going to rub people the wrong way and get his ass kicked. But you need
something.
But you need the guy who's going to be the instigator to actually win some fights and hype it up a bit. And we saw that. Who was the player for Memphis that was calling out LeBron in the playoffs?
Oh, who was that
we
guy?
needed.
He went to a different team.
As a fan base of basketball, we needed the villain to win a few.
Dylan Brooks.
That's it.
Yeah.
We needed Dylan Brooks to win. And of course, he went into a corner.
It would really help if he was
with a fetal position in that series.
It'd really help if he was there on January 6th, too.
Yeah.
If you could intertwine both those, then
There
you'd
you
have
go.
a ratings bonanza.
Yeah, but don't get him.
If that guy was a part of the insurrection?
I used to have,
me? Dylan Brooks going head-to-head with LeBron and being an insurrectionist?
Yeah, LeBron. I used to have a 3-minute rule. 3 minutes, 10 points or less, I would tune in. That was my NBA rule. I didn't care about the game. The game started with 3 minutes to go in a 10-point spread on the scoreboard. And now I don't even want to watch it there unless
I can't do it. And I'm a gigantic basketball fan. We talked about this with Dan Dockich yesterday. I think the college game is outstanding right now when I watch the games. At the highest level, especially when you get these teams going head-to-head, it feels important.
It's going to be the college game that picks up.
I mean, those teams are busting their asses, and you can tell it. The way they run offense, the way they defend, the way they go after loose balls and offensive rebounds, like those players are playing hard at the college game. And while it doesn't always lead to the most points in every game, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Well, you know what this is, too?
I think the NBA game could take cues from the college game right now.
Yes, but it's also similar to, the viral clip process that we all see. It's in every sport, but you don't feel like you need to watch the game in order to see the highlight.
Yeah.
The highlight. And Dan Patrick on his show brought this up, saying, it's a lot like, in that respect, it's a lot like late night TV. Show me the skit on social media. I don't need to watch the show or the interview. They're going to give me the highlights of the interview or whatever the news is of that show. He's right, because in the NBA, I mean, even ESPN's doing this for Bronny. If he makes a three, which didn't happen, but in warm-ups, they're going to show you the made layup, but not the 5 awful shots that were taken, or the terrible decision. They're going to hype up a 2-point game for him, and you're going to see that. You don't need to watch the game. You see, like I think it's also gone that way, where there's no reason to watch because this is the only reason you tune in, because the rest of it just sucks.
And the things that rate the best, too, on television are the sports that no matter what, even if you're just by yourself at home, you're going to want to put yourself into a cave and watch that sporting event.
Yes.
Or watch that sport. Football's that way.
Can't miss.
There are a lot of times where I'm thinking I'd rather just be at home in my own surroundings and watch multiple games all at once than go somewhere and experience sometimes. That's great for television ratings for football. The handful of times I can remember enjoying the NBA in the last 5 years, Hutton, we're on a Super Bowl trip together, and we've bet on the same game because it's in the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
And you're at a sports bar at dinner watching it, or we're on a trip watching the NBA Finals. It's down the last 2 minutes, and you're watching with 10 other people. It's a communal experience. That's the only time I can actually remember thinking, man, that was fun watching Luka Doncic go 1-on-4, 1-on-5 late in the game, and seeing that. It's not a sport that I don't think a lot of people are sitting around saying, got to get home to watch the Sixers Celtics tonight.
Because there's no consequence if you miss it.
Hopefully I can catch the second half of that game.
Great example of that game. It starts tonight. We have been patiently waiting. We wanted it to hurry up and get here, and it's here. The expanded college football playoff. Games on campuses. So while we kick off Indiana and Notre Dame, and we wait for what's going to be a great day of college football on Saturday with the 3-pack, I'm not going to be thinking about all the money involved or NIL or the discussion about who's in or who's out. I'm going to be thinking it's here and it's fantastic. Maybe we see some boat race games. Maybe we see some blowouts. But the atmosphere of college football is fantastic, and it's bar none the best. Thankfully, they're on campus. Thankfully, they did this expansion. And soak it in, because we can all celebrate it now. We've been waiting. It has arrived, and it's exactly what we have all wanted. Cheers to that. Let's kick it off. I can't wait.
Amen, Hutton. That was that could have been a prayer. Like Francois von Schmittou, my ancestor, that said
Lord,
the prayer at the Battle of New Orleans.
If you're for us,
that was so good.
May the casualties be light.
It could have been a prayer.
If you're against us, stand aside and watch the damnedest fight
you've ever seen. Just stand aside. I can't wait for this. NFL is king in America. College football has been king in my house since I've been old enough to watch the sport and understand what's going on. So, but if you would have asked me for years, what does the NFL do better than college football? One of the top things I would say is, boy, those playoff games in home environments, and you get into cold weather in January, those are special. Some of my favorite memories are sitting around watching back-to-back games or 3 games in a row on a Saturday or Sunday. Wild card weekend, divisional weekend, AFC, NFC championship games with a home atmosphere around it. So much fun to watch that. College football is replicating that starting tonight, and that's pretty cool. That you get not some contained corporate neutral bowl site indoors. You're getting in the elements tonight, a night game, tomorrow night, a night game in temps that'll be below 20, possible snow flurries at Notre Dame, at the Horseshoe. This is special. So sit back and enjoy it. I'm, for one, am not going to take it for granted. I got a dog in the hunt. I'm a Tennessee grad. I want the Vols to win. I'm not going to let that stop me from enjoying the scene of all of these games happening, and the fact that we have it is really, really cool. I feel like J.J. Redick would really appreciate that, how we celebrated college football. I wish, J.J., that we could celebrate the NBA the way we just did college football. Yeah. Give us a reason to do that. Maybe
you know what?
We could cut a promo for you, too.
What did you say, Matt? Who cares? Whoever's playing on Christmas Day, you know what the fans won't be doing? Lined up like this for Indiana and Notre Dame. Cars lined up early this morning. The sun still not visible.
Amazing.
The snow is out.
Sitting in a snowstorm.
And to get on campus, you have the line.
I love this so much.
In Columbus is, there's anticipation there too. I saw where Trey was at the stadium. It was sleeting, I believe. It's going to be cold.
It was like kind of spitting snow behind him, it looked like.
It's going to be cold.
It's going to be kind of 30s, which is pretty normal, for this time of year.
I saw
Columbus
the low,
during the day. Well, no, what I'm saying is it's 30s during the day.
Oh, okay.
At night, it's getting down to 12.
Yeah.
So the temps are going to drop quick when the sun sets. And tomorrow night I guess is Columbus Eastern or Central Time? Is it Eastern?
Eastern.
So it'll be 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Kickoff tomorrow. It's going to be frigid. Going to be cold.
And awesome. We're going to preview all the games, including
quickly,
one tonight.
do you want to give you quickly the Christmas Day lineup for the NBA?
Yes.
I know you've been awaiting this. Ryan Leach is definitely he's actually going to be watching this game. Shockingly, Spurs at Knicks, Timberwolves at Mavs, Sixers. I pulled Sixers Celtics out earlier, an example. Sixers Celtics late afternoon, Lakers, Warriors. I saw the Warriors lost by like 60 points. Warriors lost by 60 to the Grizzlies last night. I'm pretty sure I saw that.
What?
Nuggets, Suns. And, yeah, that's it. Here's the other thing, too. Some of these scores, I got to go back and find the Grizzlies Warriors game.
I know, man. There have been some.
We talked about this. I'm like, dude, you can't convince me you didn't just completely pack it in and not attempt to do anything at a certain point. You got down 20, and you said, screw it, let's lose by 70. And that's what happened.
Just get to the locker room.
Yep.
You know, that's their load management. That's their version of load management.
All right, guys, we're checking out.
Yeah.
Let's check out of this game.
Take the loss because the loss, there's always tomorrow. The game doesn't matter. We'll treat it like that. We're on the road. Screw it.
It's terrible.
Trey Wallace is on the road.
144 to 93. So they won by 51 points. That was the final from last night.
And then they dapped it up after the game, I'm sure. Traded jerseys. It's all good.
I'm sure Steph Curry talked about the greatness of Ja Morant after that game.